Welcome to Illustrator 2023. I am Mr. Perzine. I'll be your tour guide as we go through the wonderful experience of learning Illustrator. Some of you may have a little familiarity with it. That's a big word, familiarity. Some of you, this may be the first time you've ever opened Illustrator. You're going to see, if you're familiar with Photoshop, like my class is, some of the things are going to be very similar. Some of the things will be completely different. So as we start Illustrator, and the first project we're going to do, this is the project we're going to do. All of these are just shapes and of course a few little text things, but it's something we're going to create. Some of you will love doing this and go, why did we ever want to use Photoshop? Some of you will say, I hate this, I want to go back to Photoshop. But the reality of it is, some of the things are easier in Illustrator than they are in Photoshop. Some of the things are easier in Photoshop than they are Illustrator. But regardless, this is what we're going to do. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to click File and then New. And then we want to select Web up here. Obviously, these are going to be things that we would particularly put on the website of some sort. We want it to stay pixels, and we're going to type 1080 here. Oop, messed up. First time, 1080. And this one's going to be 1080 as well. We're going to leave everything the same and click Create. All right, so if this were, I'm going to make mine smaller. So if I wanted to fit this into the window, I would click View and then Fit Artboard. These are called artboards. Fit that in the window and it fits fully in the screen. So once we've created this, we want to click File and then Save, and we're going to put it on our computer. I have a Illustrator 2023 folder in my OneDrive. This is lesson 00. I don't know why they started with 00 instead of calling this 1, but they did. And we want the name of it to be Social Media _ AD space your last name. For me, it's Perzine. I'm going to start doing this. You need to learn to save things correctly. If you turn something into me and it's the wrong name, I'm going to take some points off for that. You need to learn to save things correctly. Put it in your lesson 00 folder. The format needs to stay Illustrator AI, and then click Save. All right. When you do that, you're going to get this dialog box that's going to open up. We're just going to leave everything at its, this is the default settings, and then we will click OK. Now let's choose Window. Go to your workspaces, and let's go to Essentials, and then Window, Workspace, and let's reset Essentials so we are all together and everybody's is going to look the same. All right, and then click View and then Fit Artboard in Window. So now it's zoomed in like we want it to be. This white area, like I said, is called Artboard. It's where your artwork will go. They're like pages in Adobe InDesign, or like a piece of paper on your desk. You can have multiple artboards and each can be a different size. So, shapes are the cornerstone of Illustrator, and we're going to create many of them in the coming lessons. To start your project, you're going to make several shapes that you'll combine to create color markers as part of the illustration. So, those are color markers. See? That's what our final project's going to look like. All right. So, we're going to select the rectangle tool. There's our rectangle tool. We're going to select that on the toolbar on the left. Move the pointer into the top part of the artboard and over close to the center. Drag to make a small rectangle that's going to become the marker tip. When the gray measurement label next to the pointer shows a width of about 80 pixels, and height of approximately 110. So 80 and 110. Boom. That's what it should look like. So when you make a shape, that gray area that you saw over here to the right, that's part of the smart guides, which are turned on by default. If you didn't have those, you could place them in there or make them show up. In order to turn those on or off, you would click View, and then you see Smart Guides is checked. That's what you want it to be. Alright, so now we're going to make a copy of the rectangle to be the top part of the body of the coloring marker. Let's choose Edit, and then Copy, and then choose Edit and Paste in Place. Now you see that it doesn't show you that you've done anything, but it's just perfectly on top of the original rectangle. So to move the copy down, we're going to drag the rectangle by the solid blue dot in the center, right there. And you'll see a vertical magenta alignment guide as you drag, telling you the copy is aligned with the original. All right, and we're going to drag it to about right there. Okay. Below the new rectangle, we're going to drag to make a much larger rectangle. I'm going to make this one about 280 wide. .280 wide by 600 tall. 280. .280 by 600. If yours isn't exact, it's okay, but get it close to it. In the toolbar on the left, if you'll press and hold, I'm going to press and hold the rectangle tool, and then we're going to select the ellipse tool from that. And we're going to press the shift key and drag to make a perfect circle that fits within the largest rectangle. So holding down the shift key, perfect circle, fits inside there. And then release the mouse button and then the key. Most shapes are live, which means you can edit them without switching away from the tool you're drawing with. Next, we'll edit the circle and then the larger rectangle. The edits you make will be more exacting. With the circle still selected, drag it from the blue dot in the center so the left edge aligns, and it's going to snap to the left edge of the larger rectangle. So I'm going to click right in the middle. I'm going to drag it over until you see it snap. You see the magenta line came up. To make the circle as wide as a rectangle, press the shift key and drag the point on the right side of the circle to the right. So I'm going to hold down the shift key. I'm going to click right here. Oop, oop. And then snaps. Alright, release the mouse button and then the key. With the circle still selected, drag it up from the blue dot in the center so the center of the circle aligns with and snaps to the top of the large rectangle. So I'm going to click right here. I'm going to drag it up. Alright, select the selection tool in the toolbar on the left to edit other shapes. So you have two different ones. There's a selection tool and a direct selection tool. So be familiar with those. You'll use those a lot. But we're doing the selection tool. You see that I have it's a little black arrow thing here. We're going to click in the largest rectangle to select it. And we're going to drag the bottom middle point on the box down to make the rectangle taller until you see a height of about 670. So I'm scrolling, so I'm going to So let's first select that, and then we're going to click right here, and we're going to drag it down till about 670. Alright. To move the two smaller rectangles into place, click one of the rectangles and then shift click the other. So I'm going to click one of them, hold down the shift key and click the other. So now they are both selected and they're grouped together. We're going to drag them toward the center of the circle until a vertical magenta guide shows that the centers are aligned. So we're going to click this and we're going to drag this down to about right there. You see I've got the vertical, that vertical center. Alright, and I think this is a great place to click File and then Save.